All right, good morning. Welcome in another Friday safety focus of the week. Today is Friday, July 11th. This week, we have on the dock, speak and act supportly of ECI as a company and of our workers. Mr. Dow, anything to add?
Yeah, I guess in private, you can say what you need to say, but kind of in the public, when you're in presence of other people that don't need to hear the information and you have to have tough conversations, just take them to the appropriate place. It's not meant to suppress us from dealing with problems and issues and getting into it when we have to. But I think in a public sense, we should always speak and act supportively of each other and of the company. And behind the closed doors, when we have to deal with things, we do.
And with the right people.
Yep.
Also, okay job this past week. We had a couple smaller things pop up on us. But 56 from our last recordable, so that's good. Almost we're approaching that 2-month window, which is great. We got a lot of exposure out there. There's a lot going on. A lot of hot days with the high humidity. So let's continue to remember our priorities with safety first. Let's think of making sure we're not jeopardizing safety or not correcting an unsafe behavior or unsafe act or a unsafe condition for the quality or the production of the project. So try to bake in safety with all of our decision making that we do each and every day, so we can continue to add day counts to this. It's been 1 day from our last first aid and 2 days from our last little minor auto accident that we had. We're at that kind of yearly mark for our annual Silica Awareness. Again, this is a OSHA standard that we must follow, is making sure that we're keeping the dust down regarding anything that has crystalline silica in it. So for us, it's concrete cutting, chipping, grinding, even with our asphalt. There's some quartz components to making asphalt. So we want to really try to do our best to keep the dust down so we don't have those health exposures that could happen with prolonged chronic exposure to dust. Again, this is something like smoking. It's going to take you a very, very long time to have a health hazard or a health situation, is just breathing this bad air for over and over and over for a long period of time. So we'll kind of get into, again, our best practices. So where we get exposed to is a lot of demolition, chipping, hammering, cutting, drilling, concrete cutting, grinding. We got somebody out there on. Right? Someone needs to mute themselves. Someone check your mute. Check your mute.
I think I got him.
Okay, cool. Most common ways, again, demolition, chipping, hammering, cutting, drilling, grinding concrete. A lot of these bridge deck projects that we have been doing and have been tackling. But again, as simple as, taking out a sidewalk for a water break, or it pops up to us all the time. So we have a lot of different tools available in our toolbox, and hopefully it's a lot of this is just a refresher for everybody. So again, the PEL, the exposure limit, OSHA standard kicks in if our workers are exposed for over 50 micrograms per meter cube of air, averaging over an 8-hour day. So how the standard is written is they actually tell us common practices and how to handle those common practices. And we're going to talk about that future in a slide. But for the most part, this little next slide that I'll show kind of shows you how it's not a lot of silica in the air that triggers the standard. I mean, it's really nothing at all. So here's an example. There's a dime. You can kind of see this dime in this art, like this little arch here, the dime, and you have all these little white specks here. So this is the amount of these little white specks in a room of 7 feet tall by 10 by 10. That's all you get. So it's really, anytime we pretty much get a target saw or really start chipping in concrete, we're going to be we need to follow the standards. So that's why it's on our JHAs for someone to identify. If we're going to be doing this type of work, we need to make sure we have some type of controls in place. And we're thinking of the hierarchy of controls about how we're going to eliminate, or how we're going to substitute, how are we going to utilize isolation or administrative, which is kind of the point of this training, to making sure that we're A, meeting the standard, but B, we're protecting our workers from the crystalline silica potential exposure. And again, it's nothing that's going to hit you right away. That's why it's easy to, not really care about it, because it's not like today, tomorrow. It's 10, 15, 20 years down the road of overexposing yourself. So OSHA, I spelled OSHA wrong on this one. Gotta fix that. Has a table, kind of a best practice in our manual. When we have to submit silica plans for projects, it's just saying that we're going to follow table 1. So if anyone gets asked by a compliance officer, say, hey, what's your silica exposure plan? It's following table 1. The standard has been one of the most cited standards in Vermont over the last maybe 3 years. And it's because workers kind of fail to determine that there is not a plan in place. Our plan is following table 1, and it's written right in our JHAs. So when you identify that there's silica exposure, you hit that tab, and then you're following our best practices depending on the task that you're doing at hand. So jackhammering, it's all here. We're trying to use water as best we can. There's also vac. Again, with all this dust, it's either wet or vac, everything that we're doing. We've got a couple of Hilti vacs. The technology on this stuff is continuously being improved. It's not perfect, but it's continuously getting better, and we're always looking for better tools out there to making sure that we can really keep the dust down when we're doing some of this demolition work. Again, when we're utilizing this part of the standard, really triggers the respiratory protection side of another standard in OSHA. So again, we got to also making sure we're following. It's kind of that 4-hour interval. So if it's just a 4-hour, like a quick hitter, you're removing a quick sidewalk, is only going to take you 2 hours. You don't need any dust masks or anything like that, as long as you're utilizing the tool. You're wetting it, you're vacuuming it. As soon as we get over that 4-hour window, like it's going to be an all-day affair of nothing but chipping, cutting, grinding concrete, we need to then start wearing our standard N99, N95 dust masks. So that's kind of that trigger point, is how long that exposure is going to be when we're doing those types of tasks. So the table 1 and our JHA has drop downs that meets this table 1 identically that you see here. Handheld power saws, any blade, as long as you're using water, integrated water system, no dust mask needed. And if it's over the 4 hours, or if it's inside, then we need to start using a PF of 10, which is just a dust mask. Handheld grinders, motor removal tools, same thing. We don't really do a lot of that type of work, nip work, stuff like that. So the assigned protection factor of APF, here's an example of our respiratory kind of protection. Again, we want to try to utilize the hierarchy of control, so we're not having just to rely on PPE to keep us safe, utilizing those dustless technology, water integrated systems, so we don't have to get into the kind of the PAPR or half face, full face respirators, dust masks. Because I'm sure a lot of individuals on this call know that it's a nuisance. It's harder to work, especially in these hot days like we've been having with these high humidity days. It's just an added stress to your body trying to breathe through a filter to get the oxygen that you need to maintain a good productive pace. So those are here. If any questions on that, reach out to Tom and myself, and we'll help you making sure we have the right respirator for the job, if we need to wear respirators, to making sure that we're not overcoming ourselves with any silica. So health effects is silicosis, lung cancer. So that's what happens. It creates scar tissue in your lungs over prolonged breathing exposure for a very long time. And it creates that scar tissue in your lungs, and then you get kidney disease. What's this one, Tom? Chronic pulmonary disease. So again,
yes, it's the same as what you get from smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, very similar from what I understand too. So again, those are the things that we do that we are exposed to with the occupation that we chose to get into. So we need to make sure that we identify, and then we set up with that best practice, how we're going to work safe around that potential exposure. So again, it's something that we can't take lightly. We got to take serious and put the right thought of mind into it so everybody can go home safe and sound each and every day. Anything to add, Tom?
No, the big thing is you're after one day of doing this, you're not going to feel any different. So it's really easy to get complacent around this stuff. But after years and years and years of doing it, there are plenty of people that you can talk to around ECI that'll tell you why you need to wear a respirator when you do that sort of work.
Yep. Best practice, keep it wet, use a dust system.
Integrated dust system.
You guys remember Stu King? He was our safety director before Matt. He came to our job one time and he was giving us a hard time about trying to get us compliant with our dust mask. And it was hard. It was hot. And he said, you ever see the filter on a shop vac after we're doing some of these operations? And I said, well, there's one in the back of the truck. So he pulled it out and pulled the bag out. And he said, this is what your lungs are doing. They're taking all this stuff in. I always remember when he did that because I never really thought of it that way, but all those very fine particles, we're breathing them in and they can't get back out again. So they're kind of embedding themselves into your tissues, which is kind of scary when you look at it that way.
Yep.
Let's see. I'm going to switch my camera. I gotta do two things here. I gotta switch that, and then I'm gonna share the screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
We got it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. So Silica Awareness, that's an annual training, correct, Matt? That we have to comply with that as a company.
That is correct.
You mentioned that. So if anybody shows up on our job from VOSHA and says, have you been trained on Silica Awareness? The answer is, I believe yes, at least. Don't say no.
Yes. Table 1. Yes. And table 1. We follow table 1.
Yeah.
Easy number to remember.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes because you don't want to answer the wrong way. So it's easy to say, no, I don't know. The way they ask the questions are sometimes very leading in the wrong direction.
Yep.
Okay. Announcements. So, everyone's been really busy out there. So the first bullet was just to thank everybody for the hard work and the dedication this year. We are 66%, beyond 66% through our first year of an ESOP. I think we're 8 months plus now, almost 3/4 of the way. The company is financially good, very good, probably as good as I've seen it as far as what we've got for resources. We've got a good backlog, very good backlog. We're looking for a little bit more work in the winter, but we're strong right now. It looks good. So I just wanted to pass that along without too many details. The meetings for 401k that we originally had available for this morning, we didn't have enough or any people that were looking to meet this morning, so I believe they were canceled in full. But we're going to try to do it again in a few weeks at least, to try to mention it again. And I did put Laura's information here. She is our Morgan Stanley rep. And if you're an ECI employee and you reach out to her either by email or this line goes to her desk, you can set up your own meeting. They're right up on Water Tower Hill, Colchester, and they're available to meet with us by appointment, either in person or we can do it virtually. They'll send a Zoom link, and if anyone wants to get on with their spouse or their significant other and get on a meeting with Laura, that's the contact information for her. Employee owner idea of the week. I've tried to get some of these. I got one from Eric Ross here. Yesterday, we were having a discussion about a few different things. Make sure your dump body is clean and pre-treated with the appropriate solution before hauling the hot asphalt pavement. I won't get into the specific details because I'm not up on it, but talk to Eric, talk to Ken or the other drivers, especially if you're someone that's going to haul hot mix in one of the small 3 or 5 yard dumps. There is a solution that they have, and there's different ways of mixing up this stuff in a sprayer, and it really helps to get the stuff, keep your body clean and keep it from getting a lot of buildup. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Eric. ESOP informational meetings. Yeah, we've had 13 or so. And we're going to try to schedule some more. Everyone's really busy right now, so it's hard to take time off. But anyone that has questions regarding the ESOP, or if you hear information that's making you worried about the ESOP, there's nothing to worry about. We're in a good situation right now. Reach out to me, reach out to Aaron. And if you want to schedule a time for your crew to meet, that'd be great. Let us know. We'll come out. We are still in the healthcare holiday. So another week, we're gonna, next week, we're gonna start seeing our healthcare deductions come out of our paycheck. So it's been a 14-week holiday, and we usually get a few calls after that first deduction starts again, because it freaks everybody out, because it's like, whoa, what happened to my paycheck? Well, we've been getting a good free ride here for a while, and it's gonna go back in. So it's going to be a little bit of a difference in your paycheck before tax. We've got, and let us know if you have questions about that. ECI employee, we have a new one this week, Braheen. He's been on Brian Martell and those guys this week. I've seen him a few times out there. Welcome, Braheen, and I believe I got your email, or I saw that your email is all set up, so you should have received this email. And if you didn't, let me know. We'll make sure that we've got it correct. And check your spam filter if you didn't get it, but let me know. All right, we got the project of the week. We've got, I believe this is the third installment. Is Phil Forster on?
Yes, I am, Ken.
Phil,
Ben.
Phil, I can either drive or you can share yours if you prefer.
I'll share. It'll be
it'll be easier for you to. So this is our third look at this project. It's virtually complete. I know that Phil's got a couple of things he's going to talk about that he's got to go back and the guys have to do, but this is a very high profile job, in that most everyone around here has seen it. And good job, Phil, and all of your guys on that job, putting your equipment out there so that people knew it was us. And I'll turn it over to you.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, this is our last this is our last and final installment. I think it's our third or our fourth, maybe. I'm sure we've touched on a few things, but here we go. So we were contracted to replace the bridge over Route 2 bridge over the interstate, and we're nearing our completion. This is our drone shot before and after. You can see the bridge and then its new alignment.
You can see the curve, the way the curve is changed.
Yes, yeah, the new bridge is on the inside now, and the old bridge has been completely removed and the road restored. So no evidence that it was ever over there, aside from maybe some weird odd grades.
Wow.
So we still had some things to do this year, although last year was very successful. At the start of the project, we installed 2 culverts. Oh, that didn't work. Hold on, sorry. The start of the year, we installed 2 culverts that were installed using a phased approach to accommodate the traffic control restrictions on Route 2 and the challenges presented by their burial depth. Culvert 6 was a 24-inch HDPE pipe that was partially installed in 2023 using an auger bore method inside a 42-inch steel casing. And we stopped just short of a manhole that was going to be going in the future. The bold line, or the line right here, that's the new embankment of the road. You can see kind of not something you could install after, so we had to install it before. A test ball was used to seal the end of the culvert, allowing the annular space to be filled with foam concrete as discussed in our original presentation. With traffic now in its final configuration, the buried end of the culvert was carefully uncovered and the test ball was removed. So we used foam concrete. It's very light. And so once that storm structure and that pipe had been collecting water for the 2 years. So once we pulled that test ball out, it was quite a deluge of water. And the neat thing with foamed concrete is it can be lighter than water depending on how it's mixed. And so some of the chunks, depending on where they were in their expanding process, were lighter than water, and we're actually floating on top, as you can see here. So once that test ball was removed, came flying out of there, hole filled up with water, and concrete was floating around, but we knew we'd found it. This method proved highly effective, and a new structure was quickly set, and the pipe run was complete. So we exposed the end of that pipe, cleaned out the inside, and we're able to make that connection. And here the guys are installing, finishing the short little stint into the manhole. We got the manhole set. The final drainage structure to be completed was also first installed in 2023. It was a 48-inch CMP culvert set at a 12% slope. During phase 1, sheet piles were used to support old Route 2. And in phase 2, these same sheets, along with a few extras, were used to support the new road and the embankment. So we kind of, you can see here, traffic was on this side, and then we built up this embankment later on. Traffic was over here, and we excavated on the other side of the sheet. So you can see the guys taking care of that there. Definitely something we'd done before in Heinsberg with a box culvert, but it proved to be fairly effective. We got lucky. We hit the joint right perfectly from the old and the new pipe there.
Wow.
This snippet from ECI's plans highlights the advantages we bring as a company through our ability to design and develop constructible plans entirely in-house. So you can see here, this was something we came up with. And on the right is it picture for picture, exactly as the way we drew it up. It's something that, when designers that have never done construction sometimes draw something, it is just generally not constructible. And we deal with that a lot across the company. And so this was a nice example of, if you know what you're doing, it tends to be a little easier to build and draw.
Wow.
So nice job there from everyone involved from our team. And there, the pipe run is being completed, and we actually tied into an existing outlet structure that we didn't know was there, but allowed the water to be diverted away from the base of the tree and over towards the railroad culverts outside the right of way. Over the winter, oh, sorry, I've got two screens going. Over the winter, the crew removed the sheet pile wall that enabled the 12-foot alignment shift of old Route 2. These crews worked in close coordination to keep progress on track, as well as gradually remove. As the wall gradually was removed, access was restricted. And so the restoration and the reshaping had to kind of happen at the same time. And it was a lot of big equipment in a very tight space. The staggered approach worked fairly well. So here the guys are pulling some sheets. Once all signs of old Route 2 were gone, the crew demobilized for the winter. So this is kind of how we left it at the end of last year. In the spring, the team remobilized to complete several of the remaining tasks, installing miscellaneous steel components underneath the bridge, using one of our bucket trucks. Removing interstate crossovers also happened this spring. And the guys reinstalled the rumble strips along 89. And we used our hydro seeder to restore that median area, which now you can't even tell that those crossovers were there. On Route 2, the team restored all affected areas. This is the storm credit area over where our office trailer and our laydown yard was. This got some stone ditches, had a fairly large ditch taking water from the interstate over to that culvert we discussed earlier. The guys did a nice job. The state was really happy with how that came out, and this was fairly critical from a permitting aspect. Had to both pass a shovel test and a few other requirements. And then we placed the final wearing course and completed the line striping. So here's the paving crew getting after it. That was earlier this year. They did a really nice job.
That's a nice looking mat.
Yeah. And yeah, the crew will remobilize one final time in a couple weeks after the Jericho shutdown to address any remaining items and close out the punch list. So, but generally the project is done. We're waiting for grass to grow, and we've got a few little things to pick up here and there. So all in all, really good job from the team.
Good job. Thanks. I wish we could have cast ECI into that.
That would have been nice. And I just wanted, yeah, big shout out to all over 100 people that were involved on the project. So good job to everyone.
Yeah, awesome. Looks like a lot of people. Looks like
Yep.
almost everybody.
Almost every, yeah, half the company, over 100 people.
Well, thanks, Phil. Appreciate it. I'm gonna
Yep.
take over the screen again.
Yes, sir.
Good job. Thanks for doing that.
Of course. Thank you.
So let's see. I found something from 2009. Back in 2008, we removed the old tire shed and built a conference room out here in 98. And when we got the conference room, it was kind of really long, and we wanted a table. So Ken and I looked everywhere to try to find a table, and we couldn't find one. So we built one. The guys in the shop built a steel tray. It was actually originally a foot wider, and we cut a foot out of it because we ended up making it too wide. But Ken Pigeon and I on the floor laid out from the curve tables in the back of the field book. We laid out curves and plotted them on the floor, and we made a template for that curvature of that table. And here's a couple of Johnstons and Jack Kerr, George Shortsleeves, who's not with us anymore, pouring the concrete on the table. And I believe, Tom Pigeon, you were here at the time, and I think you had a lot to do with all of our mixing of all our different aggregates. Do you remember that, Tom?
Yeah, we did a lot of chemistry experiments on how to do it right, and it's still cracked. So apparently we shouldn't leave that to middle school kids to come up with our mix designs.
Yeah. Well, I also think we also lowered the table 2 inches, and it could have got cracked when we removed it after we poured it. So I'll say that it could have been due to the flexing of that thing. But there's Ronnie right there on the left. He looks a little bit younger in this photo. Huh. Jack looks the same. Well,
I guess I was a high schooler when we did it. Okay.
You were. Yeah, I remember getting aggregates from Whitcomb's and SLC and different places. So here's Ken.
Yeah.
He was in there for days. We were trying to work, and all we could hear was the noise of this grinder because he wanted to expose the aggregate on the table.
This must have been before the Silica presentation.
It's watered. It's wet. As you can see, we built a plastic tent in the room, and he wet ground it. If you can look at all the stuff all over him. But it was a mess. It was a slurry. We were vacuuming the slurry. He was in there for days.
I remember he cut his hand doing it too.
Yep. Yep. So that was a process, Matt, I think you were involved too, of making sure we had plenty of water so we didn't create the silica dust.
No, actually, I came the year after, but the standard didn't come live till 2014, so Ken's good.
Ken's above, yeah.
The standard didn't become live until about 2014.
So now you know why I found this picture. Because you told me last night we were doing the silica. So, yeah, Kenny spent hours grinding that thing. And I took a picture of it last night just as it sits. It still looks good. I can see the SLC stone. I see the reds, the Whitcomb's quarry. And that table still looks pretty good. I wiped it down a little bit last night, but that's just illustrates what we do here. Is a lot of times if we can't find the right thing, like Phil said, people put their heads together and we in-house designed and built our own conference table, which is kind of cool. And hopefully Ken was proud of it. That he really took hold of that project, and he was relentless with that process. So that's all I've got. I'll turn it back over to Tom and Matt.
Yeah, have a great day. Have a safe day. Have a good weekend. If you watch in a group setting, please send over your attendance, as well as look and see if your username on here reflects your actual name, because if it doesn't, please let us know that you watched the meeting and what your username is.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.